Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we did this video a couple weeks ago about the pardoning of Hunter Biden, and we kind of explained in there that, this is a lot bigger issues going on here than just this particular case. Well, it appears that Mr. President was not done yet because last week he issued over 1,500 more pardons. Now, there's a lot of rumors flying around about what he did, why did he do it, who did he do it for, and all things like that. So we decided to do some research ourselves so that we can give you some straight information and you can end up making up your own mind. But I will tell you that this latest round of pardons has people upset on both sides of the aisle, and for good reason. So today we're going to have another very concerning discussion. So let's talk about the president who has no concept of justice. Okay, America, we are talking about presidential pardons. Now, anytime Washington Gun Law goes out into the political waters, and I recognize this is not really a big 2A issue, but this got a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, and one of the things we do here at Washington Gun Law is we do law to English translation. That's what I'm going to be trying to do for you today. Keep it right down the middle. You guys all get to decide what this really means to you. Now, anytime we do go out into the political waters, though, there's always a bunch of people really ticked off in the description box that accuse me of just taking Breitbart right-wing talking points and just spitting them back out on a camera. So for all of you out there, the naysayers out there, because unlike you, we do bring the receipts. We always link up everything we rely on. The news stories that I am using to rely on today's video come from one of three sources, and it comes from CNN, Newsweek, or the White House itself. So not really sure how conservative or right-leaning any one of those publications are. Okay. First, let's get some terminology straight, because you really do need to understand the terminology so you can understand what the presidents did. We're going to talk about three terms: clemency, pardon, and commutation, okay? Clemency is the word that's just kind of used for the general act of a president, in this case, or sometimes a governor, coming in and altering or minimizing or reducing the criminal penalties on somebody, okay? So any act of just trying to assist a person who's been convicted of a crime by an elected official is an act of clemency. Okay, now, once we start getting into the subcategories of it, we got two. One is a pardon. What is a pardon? A pardon is wipe the slate clean. Act like it never ever happened. All the records are erased. Any conviction is taken off the record. Any other consequences from that conviction disappears. The person gets to live their life as if it never happened. Okay, that's a pardon. That's what Hunter Biden got, okay? Now, usually, by the way, on a side note, pardons are for something that you've already done and been convicted of, or are at least currently being investigated or charged with. In Hunter Biden's case, of course, the president kind of preemptively pardoned all sorts of crap that may have gone on for an 11-year stretch, and is having that same discussion about many other individuals currently in the government. Okay, and then commutation is different, okay? Commutation is where the president in this case, and a governor can do this in some instances as well, what they do is they will reduce the sentence. Oftentimes it involves the person being released from prison or whatever custody they were in. The conviction is not necessarily vacated. In fact, almost always it is not vacated. So the conviction still remains on the record. They still are a convicted felon, but they no longer have to serve any portion of their remaining prison sentence. Okay, couple rumors we want to talk about here. Number one, did President Biden truly pardon 2 Chinese spies? The answer to that question is yes, he most certainly did, plus 1 Chinese sexual deviant. Okay, now the story is linked up below, and it comes from CNN. That's right. This is not part of the current package of pardons and commutations that were just announced. This actually took place a month ago, and it was just kind of, swept under the rug. No one really wanted to talk about it. But as part of a prisoner exchange, okay, so I want you to understand that there was a prisoner exchange agreement between the Chinese government and the American government. But the American government, presumably under control of President Biden at such time, did agree to pardon and release 3 people. They are Yang Zhu and Qi Shakun. Now, both of them had already been convicted and were serving federal prison time for what? Espionage. That's right. They were convicted Chinese spies, and they have been pardoned. But in addition to that, for whatever reason, the United States government also agreed to pardon Shanlin Jin. What was Shanlin Jin serving time for? Oh, he was serving time because he was found in possession of over 47,000 child pornography images while he was a grad student at Southern Methodist University in Texas. Let me say that again. Joe Biden pardoned a Chinese national who was in possession of over 47,000 child pornography images. Now, as I mentioned, it was part of a prison exchange, and in return, the United States received Mark Swidden, La Li, and John Leone. And again, they had been convicted in China of espionage as well. So what it appears is we traded 2 spies and a pervert for 3 spies on our side. Whether that's a fair trade or not, we will see. Okay, the next rumor. Did Joe Biden just last week pardon 1,500 people? The answer to that question is no, he didn't. No, he actually pardoned 39 people last week. He did, however, commute the sentences of 1,500 people. So at the current time, no president in American history has engaged in more acts of clemency by a long shot than President Joe Biden. In fact, he now sits on the gold medal platform. The silver medalist, which is President Barack Obama, he has about 1/4 as many acts of clemency that President Joe Biden has. Now, here's the thing. When the White House pardons somebody, they will do a press release and they will go through all the things that led to their troubles. And many times the people on the pardon list were people who in their early 20s got caught up in a bad crowd, were doing drug dealing and all that kind of stuff. They get to prison, they completely reform their life. I don't have a problem with a lot of these pardons. I don't have a problem with a lot of these commutations. However, we did find a few that I think should raise an eyebrow and a few that I think you should be aware of. Again, from the same CNN article, Judge Michael Conahan. Judge Conahan was convicted in 2011 for what was called the Kids for Cash scandal. What Judge Conahan did is he was taking private kickbacks from privately owned and operated juvenile facilities so that he would keep them full of juveniles. That's right. He was getting paid under the table to lock up juveniles in his courtroom. This ultimately resulted in over 4,000 juvenile convictions being vacated, and the state of Pennsylvania is on the hook for $200 million in damages. He walked free. Rita Crunwell, the former comptroller of Dixon, Illinois, a small town in northern Illinois. She was convicted in 2012 for what is now considered to be the largest case of municipal fraud ever, where she embezzled from the taxpayers and the city over $54 million. Now, those are the two that CNN actually pointed out, but we decided to go through the list and kind of cherry pick and look at names. And granted, a lot of the names came up, and it was like, got convicted of dealing cocaine when he was 21 and all of this kind of stuff, and they found God. And I get it. As a criminal defense attorney, I honestly do understand that people can change their lives. However, as a criminal defense attorney, I also understand the importance of accountability in the criminal justice system, something that it is severely lacking. Don't believe me? Well, here's some of the other people where President Biden commuted their sentences. Andrew Bogdanoff. His case was actually featured on American Greed. How bad was it? He built over 1,900 victims out of $26 million. Ademolo Adebayo. $121 million skincare fraud. That's right. He built $121 million out of unsuspecting patients. He gets to go home. Toyosi Alatishi. He stole the identity of hundreds of victims and then pocketed their tax returns to the tune of over $2.2 million. Mahmoud Al-Disi. He and a business partner used fake identification to obtain over $11 million in unlawful and fraudulent small business research grants. Manel Arias. One of the largest traffickers of what? Fentanyl. That's right. A massive fentanyl trafficker. He gets to go home now, too. And listen, we're going to go ahead and put the link down below for the White House press release that lists all of the names. So some of you, if you want to go out and do your own independent research, we'd love to hear what you find out about some of these other people in the description box. The bottom line is this, is after spending 4 years of absolutely weaponizing the justice system against any of his political rivalries, after basically bastardizing and hijacking the justice system to such now that the American public really has no faith in it anymore, and for good reason, the president turns around and once again proves to you that this gentleman has absolutely no concept of the rule of law, nor does he have any concept of what justice really entails. January 20th really cannot come soon enough. Listen, we're going to go ahead and link up all the stories that we relied upon down below so that you guys can geek out on them for yourself. If you've got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our constitutional rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing, you click on that link right there and you let us know. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do all of that is right down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.